What's up, everybody? It's your boy Chimpact, and today we are going to be talking about my GBA Season 7 draft. So, I was the ninth pick, and pretty much every Tapu was picked already, and some of the Ultra Beasts were picked. Magearna as well, very, very good pick. Magearna is a very, very good Pokemon, and I think Lars has definitely the best draft in the GBA by far. But I picked Kyurem-Black first because I didn't actually think that I was going to be able to get Kyurem-Black at the ninth pick. But the only two non-Gen 7 Pokemon that were picked were Jirachi and Victini. And I don't think they're as good as Kyurem-Black. So I was definitely very happy to get this Pokemon. If I wasn't going to be able to get Kyurem-Black, my first pick was going to be Extra, which Callum picked, but whatever. Very, very good ability. Not the best, but Terravolt allows me to get rid of Sturdy Bonds, not be affected by Unaware if I'm a Hone Claw set, and allows me to beat Mimikyu as well. So there's definitely a lot of things that Terravolt can do. Looking at the attacks that this Pokemon does get, like there's Free Shock if I do want to go with a Power Herb. I was considering making this my Z move Pokemon, but for the most part, I thought that I was going to use Specs, Scarf, Life Orb, a Berry, Choice Scarf, Choice Band. Moves like items like those more often than I was going to use a Z move. Although Z move can definitely help because it does have some pretty inaccurate attacks. Like Kyurem is like the definition of like it takes advantage of Z moves the best because Focus Blast pretty inaccurate. Z all out pummeling is very strong. Z Sub-Zero Slammer is really good because they don't know if I'm going to be physical or special with the move because Free Shock is very powerful. Blizzard is very powerful, so they would have to not only know my EV spread, but they would have to know which move I clicked. There's Z Stone Edge, there's Z Fly, but for Fly and Free Shock, it's kind of comparable to using a Power Herb, so it's not that big of a deal. Some of the attacks that it does learn are also really good, like great coverage in Iron Head, Shadow Ball, Shadow Claw, Dragon Pulse, Facade if I do happen to get burned, and yeah, Dragon Tail. Guess Roost has pretty much everything you would want out of a Pokemon. The only thing bad about it is that its typing is subpar defensively. Dragon Ice is not that good. Weak to Fighting, Rock, Fairy, all very pretty common attacks. With my second pick, I decided to pick Thundurus. Thundurus is I wanted a fast Pokemon, and Thundurus is 111 speed, and can hit on both sides just like Kyurem. And the only thing wrong with these two is that they're both weak to Rock, so start off kind of weak in that department, but it's fine. It's a great pivot because it does get U-turn and Volt Switch. Great momentum grabber, has agility, bulk up, and nasty plot, so it can set up in a multitude of ways. And I decided to make this my Z move Pokemon because for the most part in OU, most Thundurus are Life Orb, Leftovers, and I think those are like the only two sets that you use, and I really don't want to miss Focus Blast in crucial moments, so having Focus Blast all out pummeling as an option is great, as well as the fact that like Kyurem, you don't know if it's going to be mixed or special based on the move that it clicks. You would, like I said, you would have to know the EV spread and the move that I clicked. So Z Focus Blast with Z Hammer Arm, there's Z Wild Charge with Z Thunderbolt, Dark Pulse and Knockoff, so it's going to be difficult to see what moves Thundurus is clicking as. Great coverage as well, Sludge Bomb for Fairies, Knockoff, U-Turn, Thunder Wave as a great way to deter people from just sweeping me. Z Heal Block is pretty cool because it's like a nasty plot and a taunt at the same time for Pokemon that want to recover. So all in all, very, very solid Pokemon. With my third pick, I decided to go with Azu. Azu's a Pokemon that has a good matchup no matter what because of Belly Drum. Belly Drum Aqua Jet does 50% to pretty much whatever, no matter what, because Aqua Jet is just... Aqua Jet basically becomes like a 240 BP move. So against Resist, it's not. It's no longer Resist. And if they do resist Aqua Jet and they happen to be slower, they're still going to die to Knockoff. Unless they have a Focus Sash. But because I have Forretress, it's going to be difficult for them to get rid of the hazards as well. So Azu also has a very good support move pool with Encore, Scald, Knockoff, Parasong, Whirlpool. There's Power Up Punch that I can use to set up as well, so that's pretty good. Yeah, Natural Gift you can use, so it can beat Steel types without using Superpower. Didn't want to make this my Z move Pokemon because Z Belly Drum is not really that good. Z Citrus pretty much does the same thing better. The only thing is that Z Citrus can get knocked off. In case I do want to switch in Azu on a knockoff, I can go with the Z Belly Drum. It was all the fact that I have to keep Azu healthy if I'm using Z Citrus. Well, if I'm using Z Belly Drum, it's not going to be that effective. But it's whatever. With my fourth pick, I decided to go with Forretress. I really wanted a spinner, and it was between Donphan and Forretress, and I decided to go with Forretress because it also sets up spikes. But in hindsight, I might have just went with Donphan just because I can pick up spikes later on in the draft, and I really needed a rock resist, and Forretress is not a rock resist. Right now, I'm not really too worried about Stealth Rock. It's just rock moves in general are things that I'm worried about because Forretress does not resist rock. So against stuff like a banded rock user, Aerodactyl, Terrakion, I could get 2-hit KO'd. Even Nihilego can do a lot of damage, so on both sides of the spectrum, it's not a good rock resist, even though it is part steel. The bug typing is really holding it back. But there's also no Custap Berry, so for the most part, if I do want to make it as a suicide lead, I have to go with the Salac Berry on this. And with the Salac Berry, I don't think that I will outspeed. I think the most that I can outspeed is like base 100 Pokemon, because this says 150. And that's not even base 100 Pokemon. It's base 100 Pokemon without a plus speed nature. So, and that's if I get if I drop down to 25%, which I guess I can do pretty easily if I do just go with negative IVs. But Forretress had a pretty good move pool. It's another pivot with Volt Switch. Has decent recovery with Pain Split. It can set up dual screens, which is pretty good. It does leave me vulnerable to Defog, but I do have a Thundurus with Defiant and Prankster, so I can take advantage of Defog users with Defiant Thundurus. And Forretress can pivot in two ways, with Volt Switch and Explosion. Obviously with Explosion it's dead, but Explosion still does a lot of damage because it does have Beast Nani attack. So with the fifth pick, I was really worried this was going to go, but I really wanted Volcanion to go with my Azu. Volcanion with Azu is really good because a lot of the Pokemon that want to come in on Volcanion are Pokemon that Azu wants to get weakened for Belly Drum Aqua Jet, and that's really sad. Like after a Steam Eruption, literally everything that takes a Steam Eruption is in +6 Bullet Punch range, or +6 Aqua Jet range, outside of Pokemon that have Water Absorb. And if you can find a Pokemon that can take a +6 Aqua Jet and a Spec Steam Eruption, let me know so I can prep accordingly. But yeah, this is a pretty good Pokemon because it has decent attack. Its physical move pool is actually pretty good. It gets Flare Blitz, Body Slam, Flare Blitz, Superpower, Earthquake, Flame Charge. Flame Charge is pretty good. It can easily turn into a Super with Flame Charge. Its bulk is actually incredible. 80 HP is not the greatest, but 120 defense is really good. You can go Assault Vest on it, so the Spidef is not that bad, but if you do go Assault Vest on it, it is a fire type, so rocks are going to be a thing. And typically with my defensive Pokemon, I like to go leftovers if they are weak to rocks, unless it's Tornadus, in which case Tornadus is just amazing. But yeah, this Pokemon also has a pretty good move pool. It really sucks to the burn nerf because Volcanion just got way worse because Steam Eruption only they can heal with they don't take a deficit when you burn a Pokemon with leftovers. But I was also considering making this my Z-Mon because it does learn some weather moves. Z Sandstorm means that I have a decent stab attack. I say stab attack because Weather Ball becomes 100 power. But Z Sunny Day with Weather Ball is not really the greatest because I can just go Flamethrower anyway. But unfortunately, it does not get Rain Dance. Rain Dance would have been really cool, but it doesn't learn it. But yeah, it has Z Haze would have been pretty cool because Z Haze allows you to recover up to full. And this is, like I said, a pretty bulky Pokemon, so Z Haze would have been cool. But I thought that Thundurus was going to, like, for the most part, I think I'm going to make the Specs or Scarfed or a Berry, Wakan or Sugar Berry. So I don't really think that I was going to use the Z move that often. The sixth pick I think is really cool because Silvally is amazing. With Parting Shot, my Thundurus can set up Nasty Plots, my Kyurem can set up subs a lot easier, and it just Parting Shot forces switches. Basically with Silvally, if they have a passive Pokemon, they are going to get set up on. And if they have an offensive Pokemon, then I can Parting Shot pivot into something to allow them to set up easier. And this is just going to take damage, which is fine. And in a pinch, I can pretty much make it whatever type. If I am up against a rapid spinning team, I can make it Silvally Ghost so that I can spin block. It gets Pursued. It's another Pursuit Trapper, I guess. It can set up with Swords Dance. U-Turn is also another pivot. It has a pretty good move pool. Definitely can take advantage of that. You can make it Assault Vest as well, and be able to, I guess, 1v1 a lot of Pokemon. But yeah, it's just a very solid Pokemon. And these are my starters, and this is my bench. Ditto. At the time of the draft, I thought this was a really cool pick because it makes it so that people can't really set up on me. But as I'm like thinking of teams to build around, I don't know how good Ditto is. It does force my opponents to play around it, otherwise they're going to get succeeded by their own Pokemon. But like, you're forced to run Choice Scarf Ditto a lot of the time. You can't really run anything else. So Ditto just becomes really, really awkward. So I'm definitely not unhappy with it because I do have a lot of pivots with Volt Switch and U-Turn and Parting Shot. So it's not too bad, but I thought it was a lot better when I initially drafted it than right now as I'm looking at my team. Then I went with Dugtrio. Dugtrio is really, really cool because I have a rock weakness and I have an electric weakness. I have 2 Pokemon weak to electric so far, and I have 2 Pokemon weak to rock, or 3 Pokemon weak to rock. So being able to trap those rock users and those electric Pokemon is really, really cool. As well as the fact that if they're not using like specs on their electric type or choice band on their rock types, they're not going to have the same damage output. Like if they're forced to run Shed Shell, it becomes really, really cool. Because then Dugtrio doesn't really have to do that, and Dugtrio can be utilized as another Silvally in essence because it does get Memento. It can also Pursue Trap as well, which is pretty decent with 100 attack. And Sucker Punch priority as well in case I do want to go that way. And there was one thing. Ninja Power is pretty cool. Thief if I do go with the Sash, so it comes like a ghetto knockoff. This Claydol pick was definitely not the best pick that I could have picked. I was overreacting to my team being weak to rock, and I wanted a spinner that resisted rock. Definitely not the best pick on my part. I will probably be getting rid of Claydol. It's just can't do anything. Like, its defenses are good, right? But it doesn't have. If this had Recover, this would be a good Pokemon. This would have been a good pick, but it doesn't get Recover. Dual Screens is pretty cool with Explosion. It does get Stealth Rock, of course. I wanted another Stealth Rocker. The Dugtrio doesn't really set up Stealth Rock that well. I really wanted to trap things. Forretress, I didn't want to rely on Forretress every matchup. I don't know, man. Like, Trick is cool. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about this Pokemon. We'll see, though. There's a lot of things this Pokemon can do, but it doesn't do them well. With my next pick, I picked Alomamola. With my next pick, I picked Alomamola. Wish, Protect, Coverage, Toxic, Healing Wish. It's a decent Healing Wish user. I really thought this was a lot bulkier than what it was. You can definitely go Assault Vest on this, which is pretty cool. Assault Vest Mirror Coat is really, really strong. Just because of how much HP it has, you pretty much OHKO whatever you want except for Dark types. Special Dark types like Condoom. But those are pretty rare. It's another priority with Aqua Jet, which is alright. Does give me a little bit more weaker. It does make me a little bit more weaker to electric type attacks, but that's kind of fine because I don't think that I'm going to be bringing all 3 of my water types in one game unless they don't really have a strong electric type Pokemon. So that is pretty solid. And if this got Reflect, this would have been so much better, but I don't think it learns Reflect. But You know, still a pretty solid Pokemon. I don't think you can win with Calm Mind, but because it has 40 special attack, but who knows. And my last pick, I picked Rotom. I wanted another electric resist and a pivot, and Rotom was the only Pokemon available. Really wanted Bisharp in the last slot. Really wanted Zoroark. I probably should have picked Bisharp or Zoroark round 7 or whatever, round 11, 10, 9. I should have picked it round 9 because I really wanted Pursuit User, and I really wanted another Steel type, and Bisharp is a Rock Resist, so that would have been really, really solid. It's a great knockoff user, and unfortunately, I don't know. I didn't think Bisharp was gonna get picked, so I was saving this. And also this round, I really wanted Empoleon because Empoleon basically just does what Claydol does better. But I told Envy do not pick Empoleon, and Envy picked Empoleon. And for the first round, Envy told me not to get Lando, so I didn't get Lando here. And then I don't know. I just felt betrayed. I just felt betrayed by Envy, because this not being a Empoleon really screwed me, because Empoleon, if I picked Empoleon here, I didn't need to pick Aloe here, because I wanted to pick Aloe because I wanted to help my Forretress be able to Raspin easier, because Claydol sucks in certain matchups, and with Aloe, it also, like, Aloe plus Forretress is a pretty decent, they cover each other's weaknesses pretty decently. But Envy took Empoleon from me, and it just sucked. Empoleon has just so much utility that Alomola has, other than Wish and Mirror Coat. I think does Empoleon learn Mirror Coat? I think this one counter. I mean, I don't know. Empoleon is really solid. I really wanted a defog user, but now I'm stuck with 2 Rabbit Spinners because Envy took Empoleon from me. Really upset me, but whatever. And then, yeah, Rotom was my last pick. I guess dual screens, Volt Switch, Pain Split, Will-O-Wisp. I don't know, man. Like, Will-O-Wisp is not as good this gen, so I don't really know how good it's gonna be. It's another Sucker Punch priority, but Sucker Punch from 65 attack is not that good. It's something though. Like, I could Sucker Punch Ghost types. I could Sucker Punch Marowak, but I'm pretty sure this learns Shadow Ball, so there's no reason for that. And Foul Play, so I don't know. That's my draft. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. The last 3 picks, definitely not proud of, but we'll see as the season goes on how bad these picks really were. But my team is definitely top heavy. These 6 Pokemon are really good. I don't care what anybody says about Silvally. It fits my team really well, and can definitely cover some weaknesses, which is, you know, it's not something that was a priority, fixing weaknesses on my team. But Parting Shot is just so good. With 95 bulk, Parting Shot is just really good, and I can make Silvally whatever I want so that Parting Shot's a lot easier against my opponent's team. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.